Welcome. I'm glad you're here. We're going to have a good time. I can feel it. Tonight, we're going to talk about why people are fascinating. We're going to meet a man named Oak Williams, and I sit down with singer-songwriter Teddy Obat to hear his story. I'm Justin Sapp. Welcome to Sapp Stories.
Fascinating.
I've learned the easiest way to hear a great story begins with the question, where are you from? And not like, where are you guys from tonight? Yeah, you right there in the front. Yeah, where are you from? Minneapolis. There's nothing interesting about Minneapolis. But your origin, it's a question that reveals the formative world of someone's life. What'd you say? I said the formative world of someone's life. The landscapes you saw as a kid that framed your world, the weather that dictated your activities, the food you ate and who you ate it with, your accents, by God. Whether you're from Texas, New York, B, or California. All from this little question, where are you from? And you ever notice how the answer to that question always goes past your assumption? And that gap is filled with excitement and curiosity and wonder? It's fascinating. And what's crazier is we don't get to pick where we're from. For some of us, that's an inspiring notion, and home is like wind at your back. And some of you are from Cleveland. Fascinating. Every person, a new adventure. The joy of seeing someone, knowing someone. I think that's the best we do. We sent our people out to meet a man from Louisiana named Oak Williams. Check this out.
This is Kelly, Mr. Carter. This is Kiki. Kiki's mean, pretty. But boy, let me tell you, one time I tripped, fell on Kiki, I couldn't sit for a whole month. My name is Oak Williams, and I've been a desert plant curator now for 22 years. I grew up with my granddaddy on his ranch in Louisiana, and he loved watching Westerns, John Wayne and Lone Ranger, good guys, bad guys riding horses. And so we sit there, he'd think I'd be watching the movie, I wouldn't. I was watching the plants in the movie. Cacti, it's tall as people. My granddaddy was my best friend. And when he died, I decided I was gonna start taking care of these plants. Oh, just a little water for you. Okay. They like us, hard on the outside, prickly. But if you move in close, you see they're just full of mush. And there's not just one kind either. There's temperate, there's floral, there's native, South African, Mexican, North American. They are diverse and beautiful, just like we are. The gift of my life has been taking care of these plants, nurturing them, tending to them. And in exchange, they've taken care of me. They've tended to me as I have to them. I wouldn't have my life any other way, whether it's taking care of small gardens or big ones.
Thanks, our people. Thanks, Oak. I also want to talk to real people. Our first guest is singer-songwriter Teddy Obat. Teddy refuses to be boxed into any genre, and I can't wait for you to hear his story. Ladies and gentlemen, Teddy Obat. Where are you from?
Originally born in Jersey, New Jersey, South County of Camden, for any of you that know.
You're from Camden.
That's pretty hood area. It's super hood.
Wow.
Yeah, so It's funny, yeah. I was kind of always a homebody anyway, so I didn't really run into anything crazy, thankfully. And then we moved to the Bay Area when I was about 11.
So where did music come from?
I would say, so another part of my upbringing is I'm Nigerian, born in the States, but first generation born. My mom comes from a large family. I'm primarily close to my mom. And music in our family, so my grandpa, who I met, but I was too young to really like have strong memories of, was always like, just loved music. And he was also the chief of my mom's village.
Wow.
So he had like a kind of high status role in like the whole community.
Okay.
And with a big family, like there's a lot that comes with that. So for him, he was someone who always like would walk around singing and sing to all of his kids and everything, but he never really got a chance to pursue it himself. But I think music's always been in our blood because my mom did some music as well growing up. But all that being said, when I was born, she was like, you know what, I want to give you everything you need to actually develop this if you actually care for it. So she put me in piano lessons when I was 5. And I just, from then I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like it's something to do.
I'm fascinated by the eclecticness of your work and how vast and large and diverse it is. It's really hard to place you. You know, I know you've written country songs and R&B songs and folk songs, and the artists that you've worked with are so different. And my question is, how did you, like, what parts of your life do you bring to your music to get to that diversity? You know, like, why is your music so diverse?
I would actually say a lot of it has to do with that same adaptability. Especially growing up, there's this term called a third culture kid, which is when it's a very unique circumstance where you're basically an immigrant child in a culture or surrounded by a culture that is not even the like fullness of where you're living. So I'm seen as Black American while having a Nigerian American heritage, while also being like in the space where I'm not just around Black people. So because of that, it created a circumstance where I always had to be observant of like almost like code switching from a really young age. But with that, it also made the world feel more open.
Totally.
You know, where it's like, there is no rule. You don't have to be this one way. You don't have to seem or talk or sound, you know. Like,
a lot of people may not know that you also tour. And so who have you been touring with these last few years?
Andy Grammer. Yeah. So Andy has become a really good friend of mine through just the work that we get to do together. And it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of taken me all over the place.
Yeah. It's very layered for you to go from immigrant, Nigerian, Black, move from Camden, place in a bunch of random places across the country, and then you're an only child.
Yeah.
Like, that is like a prime recipe to create an extremely adaptable person, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you have to take all of that to meet the challenges of like being alive in the world. What does it look like to show up with those, not just challenges, but with that reality, like just every day, just like as a man, like trying to make it as a professional, trying to be in a relationship? Like, what's your process like? You know, what do you have to like kind of keep reminding yourself to do every day?
Man, trust. Trust is everything. Trusting that where I'm headed and where God's taking me is exactly where I need to be, and that I don't need to like struggle and stress and strive to have everything under control. And that's like the first and foremost thing, because I think especially for my life, like I'm grateful for like who I am and who I've become and who I'm becoming. And there's really good things in there. But at the end of the day, I also know that it wasn't just by my hand that all these things that are good have happened in my life, you know? And every time something dramatic shifts in a good way, I'm just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Well, that's, you know, like there's like a good fortunate thing happening. And then there's things that randomly show up that you didn't expect or work for that were supposed to happen. It's clear. And I've had a lot of those, the second one of my life. So that just has been evidence to me that like, you know, this is going in the right direction. So that's one thing to remind myself is like, always trust. No need to like strive or struggle or like stress out, or, you know, because as soon as you try to, or as soon as you think you have control over a lot of things, that's usually when you're reminded like most of it's not actually in my control.
Your story is fascinating. You are incredible. Where can we hear more of your music, connect with you more? Where can we find out?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram at Teddy Obot. And I put an album out last year called Observations, which you can find on Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, all the streaming services.
Cool. Go get that album. It's incredible. Teddy, love you, brother.
Love you, bro.
All right, man. Thanks for coming in.
So your story, it matters. The unique things about you, incredible. So may we think of each other with compassion and always remember, people are fascinating.